Hi all, I'm Dan Kador, VP of Engineering at Clockwise. Thank you so much to the Linear B team for having me here at Interact, virtually, and thanks to all of you for watching. I hope the day is going great so far. I wanted to start this talk by just sharing a little bit of context about Clockwise and who we are. Clockwise is the solution to the modern workday. It's a time orchestration platform that brings much needed flexibility to our schedules, using AI to better balance heads down time and time spent working together. Over 15,000 companies run on Clockwise, including great places like Square, Atlassian, Roblox, PagerDuty, and many more. And I'm really proud that so far in our company's young history, we've already created more than 4 million hours of additional focus time for our customers. Focus time we define as 2 or more hours of uninterrupted time. And we do this not by blocking off time that's already free in our customers' calendars, but by defragging them to reduce or remove those awkward 15 or 20-minute blocks between meetings. Let me show you what I mean. So here you can see meetings move to cluster them in the mornings or in the afternoons, leaving much more time to do focused, heads down work. And you've already heard me talk about focus. So I thought before continuing, I'd define the concept a little further. I already talked about how for us at Clockwise, it's 2+ hours of uninterrupted time. But let's get into it a little bit more. Most eng leaders, I think, know about the power of focus intuitively, right? We know our engineers need focus time to do their jobs. It really is a force multiplier for the team. And I thought I'd illustrate this even further. Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, has what I think now is a pretty famous quote. Speaking about an engineer, when you're operating on the maker's schedule, meetings are a disaster. A single meeting can blow a whole afternoon by breaking it into 2 pieces, which are each too small to do anything hard in. This is really talking about fragmented time. So it speaks to us a lot at Clockwise. And so we wanted to see, what does our audience, what do our customers, what do engineering managers think about this? And we ran a survey. We surveyed 152 engineering managers to understand how they see the impact of focus time on their organizations and their businesses. And I love these results. I think they're super cool. First, 80% of them say focus time helps their teams finish projects faster. Great. That matters. Perhaps even more impactfully, 77% of them say that focus time helps their company generate more revenue. And I think, especially right now in this economy, that's super important. So despite all that, great. We think focus time is awesome. The reality is pretty interesting. We crunched some numbers and we found focus time per engineer varies really greatly company by company. I want to try to clarify something in this chart. This graph is not an area chart. It's just data rich. This is a sample of 565 companies, each with more than 30 engineers using Clockwise. On the left-hand side of the chart, you can see one company has only 7.5 hours of focus time per engineer per week. On the right-hand side is a company that has 35 hours per engineer per week. That's almost a 5x difference. And I think it's pretty clear which company we'd rather be at generally, in this room, right? We'd much rather have our engineers have much more focus time per week. So given this pretty broad spectrum, we thought this basically was just too interesting to ignore. So we decided to analyze the data more deeply, and we ended up releasing what I think, at least, is a really cool report. We call this the 2022 Software Engineering Meeting Benchmark Report. And our goal as we put it together was really to try and share some numbers to try and quantify trends that I think some of us have felt intuitively for a long time, as well as help companies identify areas for improvement in their own organizations. So just some context to produce it. The data set that we used to crunch numbers from was over 1.5 million meetings, over 80,000 engineers, and over 5,000 companies. And we're going to share the link to the report at the end of this talk. You'll be able to see it and read through the whole thing. But I thought I'd just share some of my favorite takeaways from the report with all of you here. First, I think most of us have an intuition that bigger companies tend to move more slowly and have more meetings than their startup or smaller peers do. We discovered that employees at larger companies average 5 hours fewer of focus time per week compared to their peers at small companies. Think about that. Doesn't sound like a lot at first, but those 5 hours add up super quickly when you think about someone's impact over the course of a year. That's 1.5 months of lost productivity per person. So I don't know about you, but when I think about what we call that coordination tax, it's one of the reasons that I love working at startups and tend to, uh, I've enjoyed my time at bigger companies, but startups are just so much more fun. Second, we quantified how much of their time eng managers spend in meetings. This talk is pre-recorded, so I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try an experiment. Drop your guess in chat. Eng managers spend what percentage of their time in meetings? Drop your guess in chat. Hopefully we have somebody from Clockwise here. We'll watch the chat. Whoever's closest, I'll send you a t-shirt or something. But I'm going to wait. Imagine the Jeopardy song's playing. If you're hearing it, you either got a great imagination or the Linear B video editors did an awesome job. They went above and beyond to put the audio in. Either way. Okay. Enough stalling. Thank you for putting stuff in chat. If you didn't, well, oh well. It turns out that eng managers spend a full half their time in meetings. I think we've seen this, or felt this after moving into management. You're spending more time in meetings, but we quantified this and we found the average engineering manager spends almost 18 hours per week in meetings, which is 7 hours more than ICs do. And what's even more stark is that the remainder of an EM's time is chopped in half due to it being all fragmented up. What we were talking about earlier with Paul Graham's quote. Managers are left with a mere 10 hours of focus time to work on key initiatives and support their team and answer email and respond to their Slack or team messages and, do all the things that need to be done when you're not in a meeting. So on top of that, we wondered where this extra meeting time is coming from. So we did a little bit more analysis and we found out that the culprit is one-on-ones. Maybe that's unsurprising. Managers, directors, VPs, etc. We have 3 to 4 times the number of one-on-ones that ICs do. And I think it's really cool to see this data quantified for real. Okay, so that's the state of the world, but I don't want to leave you with just the numbers. I want to share some potential solutions that'll help your company be more on the right side of this chart than the left. And I want to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, I guess. We built Clockwise to help solve a bunch of these problems. That's why we think so much about it. That's why we have this data. And of course, we'd love it if you wanted to give us a try, but that's not what this is about. We want to give you some ideas. So if you don't want to use us to help you, totally fine. Try these ideas on your own. 1, schedule your meetings thoughtfully to avoid wasted and fragmented time. What I mean by this is if you're looking at somebody's calendar and you're trying to schedule a meeting with them and you see that they've got a 3-hour block, try to schedule at the beginning or the end of the block. Don't put it right in the middle. Or if you're thinking about policies for your organization, think about the concept of core working hours or core meeting hours, even to say, we meet in the morning Pacific time, whatever, you can define that for yourself. Second, create a no meeting day and treat it as sacred. We have a no meeting day at Clockwise. It's Wednesday. I have meetings on that day, of course, right? It's not really for managers, but it's absolutely sacred for our engineers. Nobody schedules meetings with them on Wednesdays unless it's like a real emergency. And then third, the last thing I want to mention here is really focus on minimizing common interruptions or minimize distractions when your team's in focus time. Encourage them to turn on Do Not Disturb on their OSs, close out Slack or email. If you're back in the office, go back to that old tried and true headphone policy where if you got your headphones on, it's an indicator to the group, hey, don't bother me right now. Whatever those mechanisms are, think hard about how might I encourage my engineers to reduce the amount of distractions and interruptions they have when they're in that flow state. And then I will leave you with this. As I promised, here is the full benchmark report. You can go check that out. And if you're interested, after you read through it, share your comments with us, get in touch with us. We can help you compare how your eng team performs to, this larger data set for free. Happy to do that. Just let us know. And all the details are here at this link, getclockwise.com/interact. That's it. Thank you again so much to the Linear B team for having me and Clockwise here and giving us this opportunity to share some, what we think is pretty cool info and data about the state of meetings in engineering teams in 2022. And thank all of you for listening. Take care.